New thumbnail. What do you think?
Woohoo! Very nice. Look at that.
Just commissioned it.
Good coloring.
Picked it up from my artist today. That's Toby Maguire.
Very cool, Zanny, but that's nothing.
Look at this.
That is tinted green. 200% saturation. What do you think?
Nice.
Jesus. That is super. How the nitwit like you guys are creative.
I can't believe that Havoc prefers John's thumbnails to mine.
But wait, you ain't seen nothing yet. Close up execution. Jet black outline. Gargantuan text.
Impressive. Very nice. Let's see SolidSol's thumbnail. Those massive coconuts. Tasteful thickness of it. Oh my god. It even has washboard abs. Okay, I don't care anymore. I think this is good. What do you guys think? That's a good take. You made it. SolidSol here, and welcome back to another episode of I Played For Honor so you don't have to. Dare I say, the best fashion in the entire For Honor lifespan, and I stake my entire For Honor career on this. Warmonger is wife material. Warmommy last month just got a crazy buff to her unblockable dodge attack, which is called Beast of Prey. And I think I'm gonna start calling it every single move by their designated name, which is hilarious to me because I mean the devs put a lot of work into naming these moves, probably. They also changed her Praying Claw to deal bleed damage on the initial hit, and the follow-up light to deal significantly less damage. 8 for the bash and 7 for the light. At the end of the day, I freaking love this change because she has freaking claws at the end of her gauntlet, so why not make her do bleed damage? So now Warmonger, as the dominatrix of For Honor, will penetrate your scrotum with her hands for real now. Now first things first here, I know you guys saw the thumbnail, and I know that's why you clicked. We're not here to talk about if Ubisoft should add both genders to heroes now, because it's already set in stone that they want to include heroes that already have their own lore, so it's easier to just make one character that saves a lot of money for this game. Are they making enough money with Steel purchases? Probably not, since For Honor doesn't have as much whales as Fortnite does. It doesn't help that For Honor doesn't have better monetization compared to Fortnite or even Overwatch, but at least For Honor is cheap, and you can see it within the reused animations. Thank you very much, but I'm glad that they're starting to actually use motion capture and give us new animations. Thank you, that one girl working at Ubisoft. I greatly appreciate you.
They're like, you know, players find.
Now, as a war monster enjoyer or a man of culture, there's important things we need to discuss when it comes to the For Honor community. I think we need to discuss the elephant in the room. There's a new opportunity for Ubisoft to make some serious cash, alright? And really bring in the whales to here to help fund this mess of a game. Heck, make this game free to play. Debating those poor suckers to suffer alongside us, am I right? I don't mind having more monetization in For Honor as long as the money goes to the hardworking devs to work on this amazing game, creating more content and less of it in the pockets of those greedy CEOs who keep shutting down projects like Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil 2. That trailer looked amazing. What the hell is going on over there, guys? It's like they don't even like making money. Now let's wrap for a second, alright? A skin costs 25,000 steel or 12 USD dollars. 25,000 steel can be bought at the store by whales for a whopping 19.99 USD. I'm ready to buy now. Take my money, Ubisoft. I made a community post a while back and asked if people hated General Lock heroes and got around 23,000 votes. In the third option, we had Girl Highlander, or as some individuals with high T would say, Highland Her. I can wholeheartedly say that these beautiful souls would gladly pay 12 US doll hairs to acquire such beauty divine. Let's do some maths here. 12 times 11,000 is $132,000. This is probably the cost of one artist working on the skin, but I mean the amount of potential income that could be made from the horny player base would overcome even Fortnite Naruto skins. I mean, it does take a whole season to get a skin, but I'm just saying Ubisoft should keep their options open. I will put my reputation on the line and say the For Honor player base would want female or male variants of a skin that is gender locked, like Highlander, instead of investing in smacking people with magical fists. If we're going full isekai with magic, we might as well include anime girls, and I know a lot of people don't want that. And instead, we just add cool, independent, strong female variants while also including male variants of heroes like Peacekeeper. Not Valkyrie though, because Valkyries are notoriously female, and also we need shirtless Lawbringer ASAP. Also, I think a female Kyoshin skin would probably be advised. I just want the devs to go in there and put like 2 lumps near the chest area and call it a day, and then maybe give some curves like Janhu has. I'm a simple man. I'm easy to please. This will boost For Honor's player base tenfold, and you can have this idea for free, Ubisoft. No charge at all from your friendly neighborhood box. So with all that degenerate stuff out of the way and off my chest, Warmonger is a popular character, but why is that the case? Riddle me that, young Padawan. Well, for starters, she's basically ASMR to my ears. At first, I despised her, especially since she didn't speak Latin, and a little bit because I felt like Warden could have used a little bit more strings and maybe enhanced lights here and there, just like Warmonger did. Kinda just swept it right up from under him. She felt like an outcast, but after digging into the lore, I realized that Ubisoft is just lazy. Just kidding. Here in the video by Major N, my good friend Lumen Kelly did a Latin conversion to her voice lines, and I much prefer her take on it. You can say what you want about her voice acting, but I find it truly mesmerizing, and I much prefer her take on it. Perhaps Ubisoft could actually just hire her or add these voice lines and replace all of her English ones, or make her say both Latin and English. Who cares? More languages the better, man. That would make me a very happy box, and the popularity of this character would increase 100-fold. One small thing I would like to change is that make sure she doesn't repeat her voice lines on every single move, because it gets annoying in English. So that's why have a little bit of both, you know? Have a little bit of dance with English and the Latinas. Latin, actually, because I'm pretty sure Latin and Latinos are two different things. But the one thing I will say for sure is that maybe if it was in Latin, it wouldn't be as annoying. But since I understand it and it's in English, it really grinds my gears. I don't really get annoyed that much by Warden's shoulder bash. Do you get annoyed when you hear Mizurum's 24/7 with his vortex? Let me know down below. So at the end of the day, let's just take all the voice lines made from Lumen Kelly
Satis Peri
and slap them in the sound files of For Honor. And boom, baby, we have a new Warmonger that has tons of voice lines. Now, what I don't get annoyed by is looking like a Dark Souls boss. Whether you are an average Canehurst enjoyer or a Lothric Knight advocate, Warmonger simply covers all of those bases. You cannot go wrong with a Caped Knight. Man, just look at this beauty divine. I cannot stress how important it is. Keep things simple and clean. With Warmonger, my gosh, she just looks BEA beautiful. I love this bedrock material on this outfit. Oh my gosh, she's absolutely beauty divine, and you can't go wrong with putting any material on this character, actually. I mean, just check this one. I got the freaking beauty dominatrix right here. The tar effect is, my gosh, sometimes it makes things a little bit too shiny, but with Warmonger, I'm kind of cosplaying as like a dominatrix of sorts and kind of just get bodied by this character in Dominion, so why not? She can handle 4 guys at once. This Warmonger set definitely has the most Lothric vibes to me, especially in Dark Souls 3 when you first fight them in the Lothric castle. I would honestly say it has some Demon Souls-esque vibes as well. The helmet itself could probably be changed into this one without the horns or the wings, and has a little bit of hair at the end, so you know she's a blonde. The blondes are the big leagues, remember that?
You've been with the blonde before, it's the big leagues.
But I mean, her armor set is just fantastic. I don't think there's any bad armor set for this character, I kid you not. Every piece of armor she has looks like it was crafted with the utmost sincerity to make this character look beautiful and perfect. I will say that her weapons aren't necessarily her strongest suit right now for me personally, because I didn't buy some of the battle passes that included her state-of-the-art design. Unfortunately, I was being pretty cheap, and that's just what I have to live with. The one thing that Warden does have going for him is he has better weapons, in my honest opinion. So, good on you, Warden. Even for the capes, I like to keep it simple and clean because this already looks fantastic. There's no reason to change this. If you want to add colors, go ahead, because there's plenty of people that like making them a little bit more extravagant than me. However, I prefer mine dusty, beautiful, old. There's still beauty in age, remember that. And that's why this set is one of my favorites, because it looks like she's just gotten cremated or she's fighting in a volcano where there's tons of ash everywhere. And the one thing I would change about this moment is maybe get a better sword. Unfortunately, I don't have a good battle pass. I could buy the one recent, but it wouldn't match this outfit. I think I'm probably going to switch to this set when I'm done messing around with my black dominatrix. But I mean, for this set, I would never ever cover this beautiful cape, and she's got a little bit of red lining and cloth on her arms. I think that suits it ever so slightly, and a little bit of red bedazzling jewels right there. I think this is my favorite forearm because it looks like she's got dragon scales right there, and this is the Horko set, which is one of my favorite armor sets in the entire game for most characters too. We got a Melina, which I think this is like a dragon, I believe, or a lizard of some sort. Pretty sure it's a dragon, but that's incredibly badass already. Amademo's arms, and I mean the blades are alright in my opinion. Of course, like I said, I would love to change it in the future. The Horkos, like I said, for the helmet, and the asbestos set, which kind of makes a lot of sense because it's got a lot of asbestos dust flying around here. We got the Melano arms, the Ramnusia chest, and the Chimera Prophet arms. This one is one of my favorites as well because it's really clean, and they've got like a light or tan undergarment that sort of matches her lower torso piece, which I really enjoy. We should not forget the details on her fingers because she does slap people with these arms. Check that out right there. Amazing attention to detail right there. Oh my gosh, absolutely beautiful. This one is probably my favorite. The Horkos always has tons of engravings and it looks beautiful. I'm sure most of you know how I feel about ornaments on your arms, but this one is my favorite since you do have a bunch of horns on your armor, and the edgier you are, the more powerful you are. The hornier you are, the more stronger you are. Those are just facts in my opinion. As for executions, you should always be running Evisceration for your first one so you can execute them really fast and get 35 HP back. This new one, which is the Slaughter of the Sheeps, is probably my favorite one. It is visceral, it is gruesome, it is dangerous, and my gosh, does she seem like a dom when she does that, my goodness. Obliteration is also another favorite of mine. It does kind of remind me of Highlander's executions, where he stabs his sword into them, but at least she throws them on the ground. Gives it a little bit of a different twist. Oh my gosh, I think this one is so cringe. Humiliation. She's just, I don't know, she's ASMRing your ears, and she's whining. She's making a weird noise. I think she honestly might be getting off. I don't tell your parents, but it sounds like she's getting off to this, okay? Like, that might be her thing, and I might be using, like, War Dummy right now, but this is a Christian channel and a Christian game, you know? The other main reason I grew to love her is that she has some badass animations. Getting impaled after a heavy parry into the wall just makes you feel like a top. I can see why Lawbringer mains love using their impale because the enemy just feels so darn helpless. It's a cool feature that she can inflict a ton of bleed after a wall punish and then slap them in the face, giving her more frame advantage, which unfortunately is just her whole personality. Let's not forget about her OS punish that is practically useless. It's the worst OS punish in the entire game. If it's not, let me know because that's the only one I can think of that nobody ever uses. It's so unique and crazy and super cool that nobody ever sees it in the entire game. I've only seen it one time in my entire For Honor career. I've tried it a billion times. I tried it for a video and nobody would go for it. The only reasonable time that I think this OS punish comes in clutch is if you have maybe a sliver of stamina left where you can't perform a light into a heavy. That's really the only time. For your normal punish, it would be a light into a finisher heavy, which is going to be 44, and then 46 if you do a zone into a heavy attack. So if you don't have the stamina and you actually manage to get an OS parry, you will deal 10 raw damage and then 20 bleed stacks. Another amazing animation is her Beast of Prey, which looks like she is dancing in the battlefield. That's her dodge attack, by the way. Elegant yet deadly. After playing her for 2 weeks or so, I've noticed that I can reposition so much easier with the dodge attack now. This allows me to avoid mix-ups as long as they don't guard break me really early, but more importantly, I can reposition during team fights to put myself in more favorable positions because this attack does 24 damage, which is a ton. It can be feinted and has some decent hitboxes, I'm not gonna lie to you. Just check these out in the background. There are times where I'm able to get behind enemies or be right next to them, yet still clip them, and the greatest thing is that our hype armor on our chain heavies start up immediately into 100 MS, I believe, allowing you to trade. Try doing this in Dominion, I think you'll see some crazy results with her. I think the reason she's valued so high in Dominion right now is because she has corruption, but we all know what that does already. It forces you to social distance in a team-based game. Makes a lot of sense, right? She's got a lot of strengths, but I think this one sets her apart from a ton of the vanguards. I remember when Warmonger was first released and her corruption affected minions. Mid lane was impossible to even look at, while Breach was basically unplayable if the enemy team had ransacked the king. Ain't no way the king's gonna cook. And you were just left there staring at your screen wondering why For Honor doesn't have a competitor just yet. I would definitely invest in a For Honor type S game, alright? Any devs out there that work in For Honor, need some music, some piano covers, let me know. My barber once told me that once everyone has unblockables, no one will. And now we have heroes with dodge cancels. So my War Mommy needs those iframes on her dodge attacks so she can actually compete. It feels amazing to actually dodge attacks and have viable defense besides just spamming her enhanced lights, but I digress. I think her most valuable assets is her undodgeable heavy. That's right, this move rocks and kicks some major ass against these pesky Orochis and Shinobis and any hero that dodge cancels these days. Warmonger is the answer to the cancer and will stop them right in their tracks. In Dominion, I think she shines tremendously, but unfortunately in 1v1s, I think it's a slightly different story if you don't have the best reactions. I personally feel that you need to make good reads and have top tier reactions to use her to the maximum ability, especially if you're fighting against a good player. Praying Claw is strong, don't get me wrong, but she lacks an unblockable heavy finisher to dish out a ton of damage in my opinion. So if you decide to use her dodge unblockable heavy attack, you risk getting guard broken due to the GB vulnerabilities, and you also risk getting hit from a light attack or heavy attack with a really wide hitbox. Less so than previous iterations since a lot of heroes haven't been able to hit me out of my dodge attacks if I do it early, but you still risk taking some of that damage. Her main source of damage comes from her enhanced light and getting heavy parries to land those impales on the walls. With her hyper armor, she can trade pretty reliably against certain heroes like Warlord, Raider, and even Magi in 1v1s. The hyper armor also helps out a lot in teamfights, but Magi, Jingjun, and Raider, they already outclass her on that aspect, so it's a nice property to have, but be careful using it because you might lose the trades and put yourself in vulnerable positions, and that's especially true since you fight heroes with dodge cancel recoveries and heroes that can go into your unblockable mix-ups right afterwards. Playing smart with her will lead you to great results, but that's not to say you can just throw lights out willy-nilly. Good players will parry those, so you need to rely on target swapping, externally your unblockables, and make sure you try to catch those pesky runners with your undodgeable heavy attack. Your wide zone has a great hitboxes, so try to utilize that to the best of your abilities, and also try not to hit your teammates as much with that. Since her chain bash is the same speed as Warden's, and not a basic 500 MS bash like Warlord, you have to play the read game. If you let your level 1 bash fly, the enemy will get a free guard break on you, but if you charge it, they can light interrupt you, so you have to feign it and anticipate it to block it or parry it. Your charge bash does have hyper armor, but you'll need to decide whether or not to let it fly, to take a trade, or feign it into a guard break, but this costs a lot of stamina, so be vigilant. Also, if you can't parry variable timed heavies, you'll have a rough time against heroes like Centurion, Shugoki, and Hitokyuri. That is why I say you need to have decent reactions and make really good reads, especially in a duel scenario where you're not able to target swap and external to avoid mix-ups. So at the end of the day, will Warmonger be worth it, and is she still good in the meta? Yes, yes, yes. She will always be insane because she's kind of the better ward in my opinion. Enhanced lights are always favorable, giving you frame advantage and allowing chit damage to allow you to incentivize people to actually try to parry you, which is the funnest part about For Honor. I don't think it's as fun trying to guess 50-50 bashes. I think it would be a lot more fun trying to parry unblockables, and of course we have an issue where there are literally unblockables for days that are being externaled and you can't parry that. That will have to be for another discussion, whether we lower the damage on external attacks here and there. There's a lot of things we need to talk about, but I think it's a lot more fun just parrying light attacks and heavy attacks instead of dodging so many pins that are bashes and you have to make so many reads. I don't think it's as fun, especially in Dominion. Duels, it's way more manageable, but in Dominion, where it's the main mode that I play these days, it can get pretty frustrating. So I enjoy fighting Warmongers and I enjoy using her. I'll be frank, I really don't think Warmonger has necessarily any annoying or overpowered aspects about her kit. I think the only thing that could probably be tweaked is her corruption, whereas her first tier as a corruption is basically a tier 4, which forces everyone away from her. It does have a pretty short timer before it goes away, but she also has a tier 4 that also pushes everyone away and enables your team to essentially win the game 9 times out of 10. So that could probably be tweaked, but then again, most feats should probably be tweaked as well. Other than that, learn to not panic when she does apply corruption and hope to the goddess that your teammates know how to, you know, walk away from you or have some situational awareness when they are applied the poopsicle. Even with all that being said, I think she is a great addition to the roster, and I hope we get more characters like this with cool parry punishes like Impale. It rewards you for, you know, setting up, being near a wall, or just getting good parries. A lot of the new characters we've been getting simply don't feel as fun to fight against. Taking a look at Gyoshin, Magi, Fitra, they have this gimmick that enables them to get a ton of damage, and I feel like Warmonger is just a really good example to just set out for a hero that just rewards you for parrying. That is my time playing Warmonger, and she is becoming one of my favorite characters, especially since she did get these recent buffs. She feels like a bleed character that stabs you in the face and applies a ton of bleed for even setting up a lot of attacks with Nobushi or Shaman gives a little bit of synergy without necessarily making it too overpowered. If any Warmonger mains would like to see any buffs or nerfs to her kit or changes, please let me know, because I think she is perfect the way she is. Probably could use some adjustments since everyone is getting 50/50s for days and tons of unblockables, but I think she is in a perfect state right now. What say you? Will you pick up Warmonger and enjoy the War Dummy or the War Mommy? Let me know. Thank you for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and more coming soon. The box is now going in hiding. Bye bye. See you later.